the class online is mainly in the chat, but also you can stop me. Thank you very much for recording. Before starting, can you tell me if you can hear my voice correctly or if you need me to have the headphone?
I think it's fine, Sebastian.
Okay, perfect. There you go. Okay, so we are going to be starting our class. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our class. We are going to have the laboratory class number 4, attacking services and getting access. Before starting, we can do some announcements, and the first one is, well, as you know, we are having the class online because one of our colleagues and students got unfortunately infected, and I hope that you are okay. Georgie, I'm not sure if you are here, but if you are, I hope you are better. So he was super good, and he told us when he found out in university. Different classes are taking different decisions. We decided to do this online to give you the opportunity to avoid contact as much as possible. We know that, of course, you are taking other classes, but I believe that it was an important situation, and personally, I don't want to wait to have 10 more students infected to do this online. So let's try this one. Next week, we are going back to be physical and online, okay? So this week we are going to be continuing in our journey of pen testing. Remember that we are going a class for attacking, defending, attacking, defending. This is an attacking class. And after all the work that we did searching for remember the ports and the computers and identifying what's going on, well, now we are reaching the point of, okay, I know what to attack. I already mapped the surface. I want to learn how to attack these services and how to get access, okay? And this is going to be the topic of this class. So in order to prepare for the class, you always have the Nmap cheat sheet here. And if you want to vote on when to open the assignment, because remember that we are giving the Pioneer Prize. So if you want to vote, when do you prefer the assignment to be open, please go to the doodle and tell us, I prefer to open as soon as the class finish, or tomorrow, or in January. No, January no, but probably some hour, okay? Some of you are taking the class remotely and online, so you cannot work after this. Some of you are traveling, some of you are having issues, right? So let's do it the best we can. So results from the survey of the last class. How was the tempo? It was all right. Oh, everything was all right. Oh, wow. Okay, that was all right. We have some feedback on a little bit of explanation of why you're doing the stuff. So please stop me if this is not clear. Okay. So going back to the Pioneer Prize, this week the first prize is actually gonna be an ASP32 device. Wow, that's good. So the ASP32 device is a very, very powerful microcontroller that can actually run Python, MicroPython. So this is one of our preferred hacking devices when we are doing stuff in security. And the winners are, go, Mari, paint it. // Congratulations, // They are working very nicely, people. The rest of the teams, I know that you are working a lot, and actually, I can also clap in here. I wanted to say that. Can you, Mari or Vero or Londra, can you tell me about the time difference that you saw, I think this week or last week, with the winner? It was interesting, right?
I think it was about 11 seconds, the difference between the first and second team. I just want to point out that Vera was a little bit sad that she was like preparing the challenge for like an hour, and the fastest
it
of
was
you
more like
managed to
3
do it in
hours.
minutes. But no, seriously, good job, guys. We didn't expect you to be that fast, but hats off to you because this was impressive.
Yeah, I'm impressed that it's very hard to know how hard it's gonna be for you, the assignments. Sometimes we have ideas and we are like, oh, this is super easy, and then you're spending like 4 days. And sometimes we are like, oh no, this is impossible, and you do it in half meeting. So that's very nice. Congratulations. Like Condra was saying, 11 seconds. This is like so close.
Actually, it takes me longer than 11 seconds to download the pickup from home. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not sure how this happened, but you can imagine that 11 seconds. It's like the difference between, hey, I have the flag, should I send it? And then your mom is like, hey, Peter, did you buy that? And yes, no, no, I will do it later. And then you send the flag. That's it. You're out. You completely missed the flag. So, and the second place is gonna be the already very nice book, Learning Kali Linux, that we like a lot. And the second place is for Git Pounded, and then I should laugh, right? I'm not sure how to say that. So congratulations, the second place for Git Pound or Get Pound and laughing. That was a very nice job. 11 seconds only was your difference. And the third place is the book Hacking the Art of Exploitation of John Erickson. And the third place goes to Prague the Mole! Congratulations, Prague the Mole. Also, it's the second time they appear. Yes, congratulations, congratulations. So the next time that we have the class physically, please remind us to get the two devices because we already have them, but you don't have it in your hands, okay? Okay, let's move forward then. Attacking others. Remember that I will try to move the camera here so you can actually look at me a little bit better, right? Is it better if I'm doing this? Okay, so attacking others. So we are in the phase that we are going to attack. So how can you attack a computer? How can you get inside a computer? So we are going to be looking at this and the type of vulnerabilities. We are going to be analyzing some attack surface of your target. Then we are going to be exploiting a configuration error in SSH and then exploiting a software vulnerability in this class, okay? So the first topic is how can you get into a computer? And there are limited amount of ways, and all of them we consider a vulnerability in a system. So what's a vulnerability? And we say that a vulnerability is a weakness, okay, that can be exploited. This is controversial because some vulnerabilities may not be able to be exploited. Some of them cannot be exploited, but are still a vulnerability. But in this case, we are taking that somehow, maybe in the future, they can be exploited by a threat actor, that's an attacker, or others, and to perform unauthorized actions within a computer system, right? So unauthorized actions, again, as we were talking in the first class, it's a very crucial part of this definition. So question for you, right? So imagine that you are attacking a computer, right? And then you're trying to exploit it somehow, and then you cannot, and then you search and da. So the question is, who are you, the attacker, fighting against? Who are you fighting against? Are you fighting against the computer, the server, the configuration? Are you
Developer?
the developer, for example, right? So what do you say? Do you agree with the developer? Jan is saying the default configuration. Does somebody agree with this? I'm looking down because that's the chat, okay? Somebody else? Somebody's agreeing. The developer, somebody said the configuration. What else? Tell me. The bot.
Joachim was saying the time. That's a nice
Sorry,
answer.
I missed that. You are fighting against the time. It's a very nice answer. I would say not against time, because sometimes when you're a real attacker, unless you are in a government like attacking position, usually you have a lot of time. And actually there are a lot of research on attackers attacking more during the weekends, for example, when you have time, or during night. So usually it's not so much time. Bots. Well, bots, remember that you are the attacker. So you meant that bots as defensive bots. I'm not sure how to take defensive bots, but probably not bots, I would say. Sysadmin. Okay, Philip, you are completely right. So you are not fighting the computer or the configuration or the vulnerability or the software. You are always fighting against the human that is administering that system. Because any system right now, any system in the world that you consider super secure, I don't care if it's an ATM or a computer in the White House, given enough time in history, I don't know, 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, we are going to be able to break it. We are going to be breaking all the software we have now, and in 100 years, I'm sure you can get in this computer, right? If you just don't touch it. But we are updating this, right? Like we are configuring, we are fixing. So you are always fighting against the human that is taking care of that system. If the system, for example, is not monitored, there are no humans looking at the logs, then you are super safe. So all the time, keep in mind that when you are doing an attack, you are fighting against the administrator of that system, okay? So let's move into the type of vulnerabilities. First type is configuration vulnerabilities. These people, it's 90%, maybe more, of the real attacks that you see in the network, in the internet, and in real pen testing, and in real attacks for real money. In this type of vulnerabilities, we have default passwords, systems that are deployed with default password. I'm pretty sure you know this issue. And actually, the first worm, the first virus ever created in the history of worms, the famous Morris worm, it was a worm that was exploiting a lot of vulnerabilities. The first vulnerability was exploiting, it was default passwords. And this is how the first time we got, like infecting many devices. And still today, if you go to Mirai, for example, default passwords are the most used vulnerability. Then we have another example, open web folders. So these are examples. If you click in these URLs, I will click in this one, and I will show you. This is an open web folder. This is a web server that it's on the internet, and somebody forgot to configure correctly the folder HF database. And then you can see that there are a lot of things that you can click and go, like data, and there are images. I have no idea what is this, some Doppler velocity radar, I don't know. Some radar images, face images. So you can go and data processing. So there is a database of something with stations. So the problem here is that somebody forgot to correctly configure, in this case, the Apache web server, and you can see the complete structure of the site and the server, even if it was not intended. So I'm not sure if all of this was intended for the people to get. Maybe it was, right? You have some test of connectivity, for example, or something like that. So sometimes this is on purpose, but it's not common. Usually all of these are actually by mistake, right? This one is in the government of Peru. The other one we can try is this one, the second one. This actually is another server in the government of India that's having some issues, and you can see images, and you can see thumbnails and stuff like that, and even have some web media SQL file that you can go and open, and you will see that has many things in here. So I'm gonna go to something like that, and maybe I can let me see, but maybe I can do this, download, how's the name? Web something, right? So look at this, right? This is a complete database structure with things like time zones, foreign key, web media. You can see the data, right? Image, an instrument, PDFs, and a lot of things. So the thing to take from here is that a configuration error like this actually can give you a lot of access. You can go find this, and then you have more information to continue, okay? Another example is permission errors inside systems. When you get in, you should not be able to read a folder, or you should not be able to read that file, but then you can, okay? The second type of vulnerabilities are social engineering vulnerabilities. Do you want to tell me, or can anyone tell me what is social engineering? Anyone? What is social engineering? I'm pretty sure you know what it is, or somebody knows.
Hacking people, not devices.
Again, have people?
Hacking people, not their devices. Well, not directly.
Hacking the people and not the device.
Oh, talking to people and not to the
No,
device.
hacking the people.
Hacking people, thank you very much. Yes, in a sense, is hacking people. And so, somebody else, something more that anybody can tell me in this hacking people? A little bit more detail or some ideas?
From the chat, we have convincing people to let me in.
Oh, thank you very much. Convince people to let me in, completely correct, Jakub. And you use your charm, take the sesame on the date and get the password out of him or her. Yes, completely agree, Milan. This the gist is the following, right? You exploit what as humans we kind of have hard coded in our culture, and you exploit those traits in your advantage, right? So for example, as humans living in this society, usually we want to be accepted by others. We want to actually be liked by others. We want the respect of others, and we are also used to respect authority. So these are kind of social traits that as a human living in this society, you kind of do. And even if you don't like it, and even if you say maybe you not, you do, right? So given the correct situations, you can have somebody abusing the authority, or maybe telling you that they have authority over you, or maybe like you said, like going in a date because you want to be liked and there is some nice thing going on. And sometimes it's just as simple as asking for the password, right? Like you may call somebody and say, hey, I'm working in this place and actually we had an issue with the computer and we need to reboot, but I cannot access the database and you are the company providing the database, so can you give me the password, something like that. This situation happened hundreds of times, thousands, and a lot of times it works. Actually, in the DEFCON security conference in Vegas, there is a huge village on social engineering, and you can see people going on stage live, right? People from the crowd, and they take a phone and they're giving a target to call a company, and you can see live how they are talking their way into getting some information from real organizations. You can find the videos online. This is crazy good. So yes, access to facility, asking for the password, clicking on a link, open a document, all these things like phishing are based on social engineering, and that's why we are going to have phishing and spam as long as we have humans. So software vulnerability, these are bugs in a program, usually that allows you to do something that the program is not supposed to do, okay? So software vulnerabilities are abusing some developing error in the program in a way that I can force the program to do something that it was not intended to do. The name of these vulnerabilities are traditionally buffer overflow, right? Like there are some programming languages that cannot deal correctly with buffers, and then you can abuse this in the heap of the program to execute your code. Also heap overflows instead of the stack in the heap, integer overflows, right? Just like underflow on overflows, like you go over. Traditionally, this is, for example, that you have an integer, and in computers, the integers have a maximum value and minimum value, and then you interpret the integer in another way, right? Like putting a -1 or -7 million, stuff like that. And format strings, another type of attack. So all of these ones allow external code to be executed. So as an attacker, usually I send my code, and then this computer, because has a software vulnerability, can be tricked into executing my code, okay? We call this a vulnerability, and we call exploit to the tool or the technique used to take advantage, okay? So when I'm telling a vulnerability, usually it's the problem. When I'm talking about an exploit, is how to abuse that problem, okay? And then we have policy vulnerabilities. These are high-level vulnerabilities. Like, for example, your company does not have an update policy. Like, no servers are updated, nobody knows how to update them or when to update them, stuff like that. Or the passwords are too weak by definition, right? So, how many banks right now are forcing us to have a secure password or of 8 characters or 12? And 8 and 12 characters are very, very short characters, right? So these are policy vulnerabilities, and unfortunately, they still happen a lot, right? Or to force all protocols and things like this. And finally, hardware vulnerabilities. These are a little bit weirder, and usually you need like some local access, like the Rowhammer vulnerability, where you kind of influence the memory cells. The memory cells influence each other. Or you have side channel attacks, timing attacks, and other types of attacks. These are kind of having a revival in the last 5 years due to the IoT world, right? Like a lot of new hardware vulnerabilities. So, any questions so far about vulnerabilities and how this works before we go into the first exercise? No? Questions? No? I will give you some time. Still no questions? Okay. So first, we are going to be analyzing the attack surface of your target and deciding how to attack. So let's search for SSH ports on your Dockers. So this is going to be your first exercise. We need you. I will give you a constraint here. Give me 1 second. But this is going to be your constraint. We need you to go and search SSH servers in the Docker network that is assigned for the students, right? So please only search in this range from 172.16.1.2 to 172.16.140. We want you to find SSH servers in that subnetwork. So please go now, run and find the servers. You're going to need them. And yes, I'm not putting the command, so you should go and remember this. I will give you a minute and a half. So, how is it coming? Do we have computers?
True story. I think we need to change the range to 41.
Sorry, so 41 it is.
Yes, I will update it.
Thank you, Jacob. Jakub. No, Martin. So, can we continue or you're searching for it? Anyone needs help? Come on, people. Remember, we need to practice this. Thank you, Milan. 40 open ports 22. Anyone else got the same? Thank you. Such a nice question. So, people, how many? I have 39, but I was searching for the wrong range. So I'm going to be doing again. And I will have 40. Look at that. By the way, I can show you now. Tell me if the font is large enough, right? If not, tell me. I can show you a new Nmap parameter if you didn't know it, that it's dash small o, which means output, and then you can pick the type of output like text or more. If you use capital A, which means all the types of output, you're gonna store the results in an Nmap file, which is the same text that you see on screen, but then a greppable or grep Nmap that is designed to be searched by grep paster, which is one line, and then an XML that is, well, you know XML, so I'm not gonna go there. Okay, everyone, you have 40? So let's continue. So now we know that there are some SSH ports open. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and say, hey, Nmap, what I want also is to scan the versions, okay? So I'm gonna put S capital V, and apart from finding the port, or maybe some of you already did, we can see the version. So can you see the version of the SSH? Well, Milan is also 40 ports in the sense that for the computers. Yes, thank you. So the version is OpenSSH 8.4p1 Debian 6 protocol 2.0, and this is a nice version. I'm copying this. And now, how can we find if there are any vulnerabilities in this service? And the best technique, people, is Google. So I'm gonna go to Google, I'm gonna search this, I'm gonna put vulnerabilities, right? Straightforward. And then, yeah, I was clicking on some of these. You can see that there are many places tracking vulnerabilities in these services. So you can go and see what's going on, right? So we have one here, this is the same one, this is the same one. We have some CVE details. I'm going to go to that one. And then we have other more CVE also here. The first one is going to be in the Debian distribution, and they are saying that actually there is vulnerability in this version. Let me see. Yeah, up to 8.4p16, also in the 5 and in another ones. That there is an open issue reference by the bug CVE 2021 41,617. CVE comes from Common Vulnerability Exposure Database, this database that I'm showing you here. So this is a database of all the vulnerabilities ever recorded in the world since we record vulnerabilities. And you can go and find the reference of what's going on, what is the vulnerability about, and how we can maybe try. So in here we have the vulnerability, and it's telling the different versions of Debian if they are vulnerable or not. And then you can click on the vulnerability and read it, right? So it's like, hey, SSHD in OpenSSH 6.2 through 8.0 before 8.8, when certain non-default configurations are used, allows a privilege escalation because supplemental groups are not initialized as expected. So helper programs, may run with privileges associated with a group, blah, blah, blah. So this is a privilege escalation vulnerability, which means that you are a user that it's not privileged, and then you go into a system like user Pepito, and then you can exploit this vulnerability to be root in that computer, which is a critical part of an attack, and we are going to have a class about this. So this is how you go from a service version to see if there are any vulnerabilities. I suggest you read all the sites and you read what's going on, because there are many places where this is happening. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you have a vulnerability early in the word, which means that you may catch the first attempts of exploiting it, and maybe you're lucky, or maybe you find a version that is very old, which means there are many vulnerabilities for you to try. Okay, so this is one way that you go from the service to what you can do to exploit this vulnerability. We are
Seba?
not. Yeah.
Could you show again the nmap command a little bit that you run to discover the services?
For sure, this one.
Maybe you can put it on the document?
No problem. So I can put it here. That one. Okay.
So we scan the network and that range, and we run nmap with the SV parameter to, apart from scanning ports, the 22, we will try to fingerprint the service. And from that, we go to OpenSSH, and that is where Sebastian Googled for the vulnerability, okay?
Everyone on track? Okay, Georgie, tell us if you did it. That command from your Docker should give you the results in less. Oh, perfect, Georgie. And by the way, are you okay?
I think it's another Georgie.
It's another one.
Yeah.
But anyway, are you okay? Okay, so let's now continue in, yes, many Georgie. This is like a weird name, and we have two or more. Wow. So let's move now into exploiting a configuration error in SSH. So for this, what we are going to do is we are going to be brute forcing users and passwords in the SSH of another computer. Passwords. So first, what is brute forcing? Can anyone tell me?
Trying every possible combination.
Do you agree? Sorry, I didn't catch your name. So I will say, do you agree with the whoever spoke?
David.
David, thank you. Is anyone not agreeing with David? Do you have another answer? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? So if I have a password with 40 characters, and each character can be small letter, big letter, numbers, symbols, even other languages like Chinese and Japanese, those 20 letters, it will take you several billion years. So only brute forcing is when you try all the possible combinations? Exactly, Václav. Maybe not all the combinations. We want all the combinations, but actually what we want is the real password, right? So we go from I don't have the password to all the combinations and some place in the middle, and there are different techniques. So let's try this and see. So before continuing, I wanted to say brute forcing is still the main way of most botnets to expand, like Mirai or Satoshi or other botnets. And when they run out of this very easy possibility, they go into exploiting. But the problem with exploiting servers remotely is that the servers gets updated. Brute forcing usually works all the time, okay? Yes, there are a lot of refined databases. So first, we need you to get a friend to attack. So we need every one of you to find in the chat somebody that is giving their IP address and you can attack. So please get the IP address of your Docker, go to the chat and ask somebody politely to attack you. You can say, hi, I need a friend to attack me, right? So be sure that all of you you're attacking somebody and all of you are being attacked. So let's go and find a friend. Like now. So I will say, hi, I need a friend to attack me. My IP is that one. There you go. Try as if you're there. So I will take this one from Martin. Be sure that you are attacking somebody and somebody's attacking you. I will take Martin. Of course, this is not only for one, like two students can attack one IP, but just I want to be sure that everyone has some attacker. Somebody's asking Veronica if somebody can attack Veronica.
Yes, please.
I will make sure that they have the computer up. I will do an AMVD. I will scan everything with them just to be sure. While you are doing this, I will be running a complete one. And they're saying, oh, they have SSH open, perfect. And they have the Mac, perfect. So, everyone, you have an IP? There are few IPs. We have like 45 people in the chat, and I saw only 6. Come on, people. You need to try. If you don't know how to get the IP, tell us.
I can add that there are very few opportunities to get attacked like this, and that you can actually see it in real time. So it's super fun, and don't worry. Worst case scenario, your containers are safe, so we can start them and you don't lose anything. So break everything.
Okay, let's continue then. So I just pick one IP and I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna go back to the document. So the first thing we need to do in our Dockers, we are gonna create the circumstances for our attacker to be successful. Of course, this is not the real life, but we need some configuration error for the attacker to get in. So what we are gonna be doing is that we are gonna be creating a user in our Docker that would be brute forceable for our attacker. So for this, we need to create first a users file. Okay, go to your Dockers and create a file called users and put this content in there. Okay, this is just a list of users. So if I go to my Docker, I go to this exactly list, and I'm gonna be adding the list I'm using the Vi editor. Probably you can use the Nano, but I have no idea how to. Users do, and then I suppose I do that, and then Control X, and I'm not sure this one. Save modify, probably I want to save it, right? Yes. Oh, yeah. Look, I use Nano. Emacs. Oh, I have no Emacs. Oh no. Okay. Once you have this file with the user, please create another file called pass with these passwords, very complex one. Okay. So pass, I'm gonna delete these ones, and there you go. Okay. I don't know, maybe we can do that. Can we do that? No idea. Oh, look, it worked. So you can even do an echo there, no issue. Like this, if you have no idea.
Maybe we can wait a minute.
Yes, we can.
So just to clarify, you need to SSH to the containers. That's what you're going to attack. So the IP address of the person attacking. Sorry.
You are in your own container, right? You are
Yes.
still not SSHing to your attacker.
No. But what I want to say is that the IP address that you are attacking has to start with 172.16, okay? And you need to attack from the containers. So if your IP does not start with 172, try to find the internal IP.
If somebody does not know how to find the IP, it's configured, okay? Okay, everyone, any issues? No issues? So, right, it's configured. This is your IP. Ethernet 0, that's your IP. Okay? So, going back to our next step, we need to create a user. So I'm going to create a user. You can pick any of the usernames in here. I'm just creating a user called mine, but you can create whatever. Actually, we can randomly choose. Okay, no, let's do this random choosing of user. So we are going to be user using this command random pick a user. This command that I just put in here, if you execute this command in users, if you execute this command in your console, should be picking up a username by random choice, see? So you can go and execute this command, and then you will not be biased in what to choose, and you're going to be choosing any user. Okay? Well, probably root, it's not going to work because you have it, but it doesn't matter. So then you execute user add with the user that you just choose. So we say user add web, for example. Okay? Everyone? You have your user? Okay. I will wait for some people to catch up. Tell us if you are behind. Please try. Questions in the middle. We are creating a user in your Docker so your attacker friend can attack you. Already. Aleya. Well done. Well done. So, everyone. So now that you have the user, we are gonna be selecting a password randomly. We are gonna be using a similar command. I can probably explain the command now. So if you run that command, yes, you will have random passwords. This command is using a special variable in Bash called random. if you just see the content of that variable, it's a random number all the time. So this is very handy. So what we are doing is selecting a random number between 1 and 10. So we are going from 1 to 10, and we are just getting that amount of lines from 1 to 10 randomly, that amount of line from the pass file. See, I will show you this only. And then we are doing a pipe and cutting it and getting the last line only. So if you do this without the tail, you are choosing a random top number of lines, and then the tail dash n1 is getting the last line. Okay, so you can understand the command that you're running. So now that you have a password, let's put a password to your user. Okay, so that's with the command passwd. Passwd is the command to change the password of a user. So I'm gonna go to my user, that is web, and I'm gonna write the password. I'm choosing one that you don't know because you don't see it. I just choose from that list. That's it. I have a password. And now that everyone has a user with a password, what we are going to be doing is attacking each other. Okay, so here you have the command that it's going to be running a port scan. It's going to be finding the version in port 22. Here you put your friend's IP, verbose, not DNS, and we are going to be using the scripting of SSF of Nmap. The scripting engine, remember, is Lua scripting. We are going to be choosing the SSH root script, and the arguments we are going to be giving is the database of users, that's the users file, and the passwords or users, that is the pass file. Okay, so I will go now to my computer. I'm going to pass this command, and I'm going to pick the IP of my user attacking, right? I'm going to press enter, and you should see password authentication, no allow. Oh, they took me out. They took me out. They don't want to attack me. Boo. So since they reconfigure their server and they don't allow any password authentication, I cannot brute force. But
Sebas, can I just interject?
yes.
Actually, one user, the selected one from the document, has password authentication enabled.
Oh, so that's super nice. So if you go and try one by one, right, instead of doing here the users DB, you can try users one by one, and then you will probably find the user. But that's super interesting. Thank you very much, Jakub. That's super interesting because you can see that Nmap actually is stopping the complete scanning or brute forcing, because the first try that is trying, the first time that is trying, actually saying, hey, this server is configured not to allow password authentication, so I'm stopping. So the configuration that Jakub was doing is kind of unusual, or the team is doing is unusual in the sense that usually all the users are allowed to have a password authentication or none. This is possible but unusual. Okay, so I'm gonna choose another friend. I'm gonna choose 38 if there is something like 38. And here you can see that Nmap is actually starting the Nmap script engine, that's the NSE, SSH brute force, that IP, that password, trying the username pair mine, admin, root, user. So you can see that Nmap is actually trying users with the same password as the username, and then it's trying the passwords that we put, like 1234, and then 12346, and all of them. Okay, so if you are brute forcing a server, you should see a process like this in your computer. And now, after some time, in 138, I did not find any valid account. So I want, maybe the people of 38 can tell me if they create a user with a password like this, or if they did not, but I hope they did. I'm gonna try 35. 35 scripts execution fail. I have no idea. Maybe, oh, maybe it's not there. I will try 34. WhatsApp, bye-bye, yeah. So let me see, 33. Let's see if I can find a friend that allows me to play 11. Okay, if not, I'm gonna try 11. Don't stop the people from attacking you. Okay, it's a very good exercise to be attacked. So even the Jakub with the 41, enable it so the people can get into your computer. They are not.
Yeah, Gabriel actually did it already. So.
So were you attacked? Let me see. I'm not being attacked. Oh, nobody's attacking me. Boo. Let me see. Last log. Oh yeah, somebody, the IP 143 attacked me. Oh, well done. I'm not sure who is that computer. You were attacking me, but then they left. So we are gonna see what's going on. Oh, here. So nobody that confirmed found this computer also do not have the IP. Somebody say try 11. 11. Okay, there you go. I'm gonna try 11. So it's trying all the pairs. Of course, this is a toy example, but you can see that even trying something like 130 combinations is taking like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, right? So if you increase the amount of users and then increase the amount of passwords, this can take easily several days, and maybe you don't find anything. And then you want to do this per IP, which means that when you start scanning the internet, it can be months. That's why usually you parallelize this with a botnet so you can speed it up, right? So still nobody's attacking me like right now. They attacked and they left. So if you want to see who is connected to your computer, you can do the command W, which means who or who is connected, and then you will see the people connected, and here nobody. If you do the command last log, you will see all the users in your system. When is the last time they log? So root, it was at 4 something, and then this IP at 450. Okay, so you can see that. Also, you can do last, and you will see all the attempts one by one of each IP and user. So web connected twice, and 40 and 44. Oh, now it's there. Oh, he left, or they left again. I still don't have. What's your IP? My IP is 39. So still trying. You can also tell Nmap to actually stop when they found the first user and password combination, or you can ask Nmap to continue, right? That's up to you. Can you create a password list of all combinations with containing specific characters, for example, product characters? Yes, of course. You can create a password file in any way you want. That's up to you. If you mean with a specific tool, that's a little bit trickier. There are tools to create password lists with this type of combinations, but they are kind of hard, like John the Ripper, a lot of these things. If you want to create your own password list, I suggest you just do it with some Python script. Okay, so I have credentials. This is the West user with the password admin. So I'm going to connect now, SSH, West at that computer, and it's going to ask me for the password that is admin. And I mean, woohoo, look at this. Oh yeah, there you go. So now that you are inside these computers and you are attacking somebody, which are the first commands that you are doing, right? And the first commands that I usually do are W first, because I want to see who else is connected to this computer. And then I can do last to see who is still logged in. So you can see here root, right? That, by the way, I didn't see root connect there because probably was not authorized. And then I can do last log, right, to see exactly the same information. Then I will see the processes with previous to know what's running in this computer, right? Maybe where I'm standing, right? And then I can try to see information, right? Like, for example, cat etc shadow. That is where the passwords are stored. I don't have permission for that, right? And then you can start exploring around. So it's a very nice feeling when you get inside the computer of somebody else and you are kind of, what should I do, right? Because you know you're going to be taken down very fast, right? So still nobody's in my computer, or this is not working. I think, maybe now web is here. So let me see. I'm not sure if you can see this there. Hi, how are you? So this is a very weird way to send messages between users, because as root, I'm putting this text into the device used by one of the connections in my computer, the PTS5. So /dev/PTS5 is actually the console of the user connected to my computer. So they cannot chat back to you, but you can chat them and actually, oh, they're out, they left. I think that here I cannot do that except for me, right? So for example, if I do echo to /dev PTS1, that's me, right? Can you see the message? That's me. And if I do PTS2, maybe, that is somebody else and I can do that because we share the same user. That's so nice. So whoever is connected here with me, they're gonna have this in their screen bothering all the time. So you're bothering your attacker. Sorry, attacker. Oh, they left no message. That's bad. Hi, thanks for letting me attack you, right? I'm gonna put this in TMP important message dot shell. So that's how you can leave messages, right? Like the greater than symbol, it's putting your text from the echo inside a file in there, okay? So I'm not sure who is this computer, but you have some information there for you. And I'm not sure, I think that I don't have information for me, right? Did I leave something here? Oh, look, hello from Lad. I'm still here. Oh, thank you very much. Haxer was here. That's so nice, people, to see you here. I'm so proud. Thank you for the nice messages of support. I will keep my computer open for you. So let's continue with the attacks. After this, we get inside. We did the first exploitation, which is brute forcing. Now you are able to find computers in the network, to find the passwords, and to get in different services. SSH is one. You can do this in many others like Telnet, FTP, in the web, in TLS, and others in there. So when you finish with everything, remember to delete the user, because if not, it's gonna be there forever. And remember that these computers are connected to the internet, which means that probably there is already somebody trying to connect using this user. So if you let a user there that is very easy to find, it will be found and it will be abused. Your Docker is your responsibility, okay? So let it there a little bit, and when the people stops playing or after the class, remember to delete the user, okay? Okay, so any questions because before we go to the next exercise? I will give some time for questions.
Just a comment. Don't just delete your own user, but check if other people create other users and left them behind. I cannot confirm nor deny that this happened to our Docker.
So yes, try to check that there are no other users. If you need to know which users were actually the real ones, at the end of the document, I'm going down, we have the default users in your Linux system. So these are the users that should be there only, okay? So anyone that it's not in here, you can delete, no issue. Oh no, I cannot be sudo. Bad people. So, no questions? No questions? I'm waiting. people? Oh no, you have a lot of messages. Sorry. Can we continue? Good hacking, thank you very much. Ready? For sure? A lot of connections. Let's see if there was something here more. Not here. Last low. I'm cleaning when I'm waiting for you. That's it? Okay, let's continue then. So now that we did this first exercise, let's do some exploiting of software vulnerabilities. So we are gonna be searching of how to exploit something that is closer to a real life or a real situation vulnerability, right? So there are two main ways to do this. The first one is when you know the version of the service. Okay, imagine that you are doing a pen test and you found some computers and you have some web servers, or you know the web server version or JavaScript libraries or something. And once you have this piece of information, you want to search for a vulnerability, okay? So this is very common when you're doing a pen testing because you are targeting a specific service, or you're doing audits, or you are actually doing a targeted attack. You are an attacker trying to get into a specific company, organization, or bank, or something like that. So this is hard because if you go and find FTP version 2.3, maybe there are no vulnerabilities, right? So you are going through all the ports, all the versions, everything you have, finding vulnerabilities. The other case is the opposite. When you have a vulnerability, and most importantly, you have an exploit, and then you search for servers to attack. And this is the case of all the botnet attacks, script kiddies, right? Non-targeted attacks, when you just want to get inside as many computers as possible, okay? So these are two different situations. What we are going to be doing now is that we are going to be trying to find the server. We are going to see which version it has. We are going to search, and then we are going to see if we can exploit it, okay? So first, please port scan the computer 150 and tell me what you find. You can scan all the ports, or you can scan port 80 only. You can do both. So tell me what you find there. And by the way, the S capital C means run all the scripts that you can depending on the versions you find, right? So Václav is saying 80 TCP, Open HTTP, Apache HTTPD 2.4.49, Debian, that's super good, Václav. The rest of the people, please check if you can find something. And in the meantime, Václav, you can start searching for vulnerabilities on the internet on that Apache. The rest of you, you should go and try to see what do you find there. By the way, did you see what I'm doing here? Can somebody tell me what I'm doing in this console right now? Anybody? What am I doing in that screen that I'm showing you? You are applying version scan and scripts on port 80. That's half true. Yes, I'm doing that, but if you pay attention, I'm in a very special console. Real outside of root folder. read outside the, well, it's not that I am outside the root folder only, it's that I'm not root. So if you look at my consoles, this one, I'm root, this is my computer. This one, it's not my computer. I have no idea which computer is this. And probably I cannot even know the IP. So what I did here is that I got into somebody's computer. Remember, I was still inside the other computer, and I could nmap from the other computer, which is super good because then I can use the IP address of the other computer to do the attack, right? It was not intended, but it works. Anyway, if you're in your own computer and you do this command, oh, sorry. And you do this command, you should be able to find the Apache. So everyone, you have the Apache? People? Be sure that you have it, okay? So now that we have the Apache, we can search for vulnerabilities. That means that if you go and search for Google Apache vulnerability 2449, oh, not Google, but you can search like that. This is going to tell you, hey, you know what? A vulnerability exists in Apache HTTP server 2449. A cyber actor could exploit this vulnerability to execute arbitrary code. This actually, if you go to apache.org or something more, you will see that this alert was given 6 days ago. So I'm not sure if you hear about this vulnerability, but literally 6 days ago, it was not last week during the class, the community found a new vulnerability, actually three vulnerabilities in the Apache HTTP server, which is the second most used web server in the world, and that you can access files remotely, okay, and you can execute code in the remote computer. Of course, there are some conditions, not everything is working all the time, but in some circumstances, you are able to do this, okay? This is for another version of Apache. The 2044, yeah, thank you very much, Mari. So that case, it's a good finding, Georgie, but it's not gonna work in this one because it's server 2044, right? And this is 2449. So we can read about it, but that was a very important vulnerability, and you can imagine that the community got crazy because we have a lot of Apache web servers in the world. Many of them were vulnerable, and that was a very easy to exploit vulnerability. We will see it now. So you can go and read it here for the details, but I can tell you what is this vulnerability about. So this vulnerability that we are going to be using today, yeah, and here you can have more information and more information. It's an Apache transversal or web transversal or folder, it doesn't matter, okay, file traversal vulnerability, which means that this type of vulnerabilities are vulnerabilities where you are accessing a file, okay, but you can modify your data to force the remote system to access files in other places, in other folders. So you kind of move, you traverse in the path, and you can get out of the protected folder in Apache. Okay, so this vulnerability that we are going to be exploiting, named CVE 2021-41773, like I told you 6 days ago, has two parts. One is the file traversal vulnerability, which we are going to be using to access files. And the other one is the RCE, which means remote code execution. If someone wishes to do both of them, yes. So what is this? So when you access files, like I was telling you right now, usually do something like that, right? Like test.com, folder one, you have some folder, and then you have some file, okay? This is how usually you access a computer in a web server. However, most web servers, not all of them, but most web servers map the structure they show you in the HTTP with the structure of the real folders on disk. So what they are doing is that if you have a folder called icons, then you can access the folder in the HTTP putting /icons. If you have a folder called /my_data, then you will see this in the web. And for showing you this back, I'm going to go to the first, remember, open web folders I was showing you. This is exactly what I'm talking about. These are real folders in the system, real folders that if you click, you can access. So you can see that here on top, you have the /images folder, which was mapped from an HTTP request to a disk access, okay? Everyone on track? So now that we have this knowledge, what is stopping us from actually trying to get out of this folder? So this is example I want to give you. So why I cannot do test.com/folder1/.dot/.dot/.dot. So can anybody tell me what is this dot thingy here? What is the dot?
The parent directory.
Again?
The parent directory.
Exactly. So this is the same situation that if we want, here we are in the root folder and we are doing cc dot, which means that we are going to go one folder down, right? One folder down. If you do the ls or ll-alh command, you will see your same folder that the name is dot, and then you have the folder called dot, this one, right? So this means the previous folder. So in this example, we're actually trying to force Apache to go back until whatever I want, and then to go up in another part of the folder, like etc password. So what is stopping us for doing this in every web page in the world? Well, usually it's because all web servers and then developing languages, they are parsing the input and they are removing this from the input. So if you are trying to do this in any web server, the web server would actually make an effort to stop you from doing this, okay? This is how it usually works. However, this is the nice thing, there is a vulnerability in the Apache input parser. This is a vulnerability we are going to exploit. And this is why now we can actually encode the dot character, encode the dot character as %2e. This is a percentage encoding, very common in web environments. This type of encodings, we have many of these encodings, are meant to transfer certain bytes in this ASCII HTTP URL, okay? So if you put %2e, most web browsers will decode as a dot. So actually we can do whatever path and then %2e, and this actually means dot for the web server. And this is where we are having a vulnerability in Apache, okay? So let's gonna try this one and then we go to the remote execution. So how do we exploit it? Well, first, before just going and exploiting it, we need to be sure that actually the server is vulnerable. We want to try to see that the server is vulnerable. And how we are doing this? We are going to be using the curl command. Remember curl or curl here in Czech Republic. And we are going to be saying -s. What? It's curl, right? Okay, so executing silent mode, that is /s, and then we are gonna be using path as is as a parameter that means, well, do not modify whatever I'm gonna send here. Whatever I put in here, don't modify, because if you don't put that, actually curl is gonna be removing those dot because are forbidden, okay? So this command that I'm gonna show here is gonna connect to the HTTP web server and it's gonna bring the web page, but we are only going to print the first 10 lines because we don't want the whole web page, okay? So if you do that, you will find some web page, okay, everyone? The first start. Just keep that in mind so we see later. Here you have the excess. Now, we are gonna try to go to a specific resource, like a resource called icons. Okay, are you ready for this? So go here and try to access a specific folder, a specific resource called icons. So when you do that, you don't have permissions to access this resource. Do you see that? That means first that the icons folder exists, and second that we don't have permissions to access that resource. Okay? But this is a confirmation that the icons folder does exist. Okay, everyone? Now, what we are going to be doing is the magic of the ... in the icons folder that we should not be able to access, because actually that's what the message said. So now if we do this curl here, if you do this curl here and you execute it, no, not like that. So we do this one and then we execute it, you will see again the original web page. And this is a confirmation that the vulnerability exists, because what we did is that we asked the web server to go into the icons folder that we should not be able to go. Remember, you don't have permissions. But then we forced the web server to go to the dot and then encoded %2e. So we went into icons /... And that means that we were again in the main root folder. And the main root folder has this web page we just checked before. Okay, everyone? So this is a confirmation that this web server actually is vulnerable and we are ready to go and attack. So let's attack. Let's go and attack. In how we can attack, well, this is the one of example command, and we are going to be doing ... and then etc password. Okay, so if you go to your computer and you execute that, ta-da! Look at that, people. We attack a real Apache in real world with a new vulnerability that is less than 6 days old. It's all new, that is still hot because it's out of the oven, still hot, this vulnerability. So please, all of you confirm that you can execute this vulnerability and that you are able to access these files. Did it work? If not, woohoo! People, that's the real thing. Oh, we have something in TMP. Okay, we will check. So before you ask, yes, this is vulnerability that you can execute on the internet if you are able to find a vulnerable Apache. So again, remember two things. The first one is that finding a vulnerable Apache is not straightforward. There are many IPs on the internet. But second, remember that this is, again, an ethical consideration. You have power here. You learn how to attack and access any file in any web page that is vulnerable to this attack. So please behave, learn, take the opportunity. Do not get malicious on this, okay? Yeah, thank you, Mari. Is it clear why this is working for everyone?
Also, Sebastian, I don't think you explained why we are accessing this file in particular, but we will be focusing on that next class, right? The etc password, WD, and etc shadow.
We can for sure. Yeah. Does anybody know what is the etc password? Yeah, some programmers fault. Yeah. List of all users. So we need a history lesson here, but etc password was originally where the users and the passwords were stored in any Unix system. So this is, yes, the list of users, but then we have some properties. The field separator is the the columns. And then the second field is the password that is not there. And then we have others that we'll see next class. But yes, this is a list of users that you can try to brute force later, right? And the passwords are not here. We will see next class where they're stolen. Yeah, you should not be able to access etc shadow. Why not etc shadow? That is where the real passwords are being stored. Why we cannot access etc shadow? Well, because of permission issues. That file is only visible to root, and Apache runs with a user that is called, like you can see here, www-data, and that's on purpose. Thanks God Apache is not running as root. This is why you should never run any program as root unless it's absolutely necessary. And in that case, you drop privilege later. Okay, everyone, can we continue? So, let's end this with the second part of the same vulnerability, that is the remote command execution RCE, right? So what's the difference? What's the difference between these two? So the remote command execution, it's not to access files, but actually to send code and execute this code in the remote computer, which is much funnier or much better. Why we have this vulnerability in this, like the remote code execution in this Apache? Well, it happens that in Apache, in general, if you enable a module called the mod CGI, this is a specific module that is telling the Apache web server that any file that has the handler that is the position in CGI script will be treated as a CGI script and be run by the server with its output shown to the client. And by default, this handler CGI script is on all the files in the CGI-bin folder. So if you find an Apache that is vulnerable, and plus you find that this administrator left the mod CGI enable, which is kind of old, so this is not common, then you're in the position to actually execute commands remotely in any Apache that is vulnerable in the world. And what we are going to be doing is, instead of accessing the icons folder, we are going to be accessing the CGI-bin folder, and then we are going to go back and we are going to find the shell, the command interpreter of the system that is usually stored in /bin/sh, okay? Doing this, it means that Apache will treat this file as an executable, and it's going to execute whatever we send to it, okay? So to see this in action, we are going to be doing a curl espace this, and then we are going to be using -d, let me look at you, -d to actually send data, okay? We are sending data, and the data we are sending is echo ls-al. We are going to be trying to see what is this later. So this is data we are going to be sending in a post request, and this post request is to this specific URL, cgib.bin/, okay? So let's gonna try this one, and look at that, it was executed. People, this is amazing. We are executing remote commands on a computer with one line of code. This is exciting. Like, it's not usual in the history of the security of the internet. It's not usual to find a one command line that gives you remote execution in a web server. Like, this happens, I don't know, 10 times in the history of Apache in the last 40 years. So this is kind of a deal for the last week, right? Like, we are not having this in Apache since probably the 80s or the 90s, right? Like, one command remote execution is crazy. So tell me if it works for you. It's quite serious. Yeah, the people got crazy very, very fast with this one. Did it work? Do you see it happening? Actually, somebody said that they left messages in TMP, so I'm gonna try to see what's in there. Oh, we have message, and now we can actually see the message. So I will do a cut of the TMP message. You see that? Look, oh, this server didn't hug. And they have a sage with hi. That's such a nice thing. Actually, we can chat. This is so serious that after the vulnerability was published, the attackers of the world start making, of course, exploits out of this, and they start executing them and attacking servers like crazy. So right now, even in the university, we are receiving these attacks every day, and they're trying to get in and find vulnerability hosts, and they're trying to execute commands. And yeah, this is a new thing. It's gonna work for a couple of months. So it's a very nice moment of life, I will say. Okay, everyone, we have 2 minutes to go, so we can end here. I will give some minutes to questions, and then I will give. Oh no, somebody took the memes, the memes.
Yeah, we have a new one.
They're not here.
Yeah,
Okay,
I only put it in Moodle.
Okay, so no memes here? Okay.
I wanted to trick Sebastian into going into Moodle. That was my goal all along.
What is Moodle?
I wanted to trick, yeah.
Okay, so before going to the assignments, can you tell me if you have questions, people? Yes, awesome time to be alive. So unlucky you only have an hour and a half, but you have time tonight. So, no questions? Nothing? Are you sure? I'm giving time for people to ask. Yeah, you should upgrade your server. Actually, I can say, while I'm waiting for questions, I can say that the first vulnerability was reported and Apache solved it very fast. And then actually they found out that the patch was not enough and you could still jump it. So they have to release a second patch. That's why I've said that there were 3 vulnerabilities. And also I wanted to say that there are many ways to encode those characters. And actually, even you can have second level encoding, which is encoding the encoding, which means that it's very, very hard to search if somebody's attacking you with this vulnerability, because there is no string pattern match that it's unique, right? Yeah, Nginx is good. Okay, so I'm gonna give the word to Ondra, and you tell me, Ondra, what to do.
Thank you very much. So first of all, I put in the chat the results of the poll. So it seems that you prefer Thursday 10 o'clock for opening the assignments. Actually, before we decided that we would alternate the 2 most common choices. So this week we will open at Thursday 10 p.m. Next week as assignment will be Friday 8 a.m. and so forth. Yeah, I will put it in the document. Oh, somebody is putting it. Perfect. So let's see what the assignments for this week are. We have 2 parts. First of them, in the first one, you are given IP address. You should explore it with the tools that we were showing in the class. There is a library which you should explore for more instruction. There is one question in CTFD to be answered, and also in the server you should find clues for finding the flag. As usual, you have some tips on the useful commands. Yes, and then if you scroll down, Sebastian, please. Yeah, the second part is actually you're once again given an IP address of a server that is vulnerable. So you're sorry, what? Somebody were saying something? Oh, okay, my mistake. So this server has a vulnerability. So again, your task is to go there, explore, find it, and when you find it, go online, search for an exploit, and try to use it. So you would be able to read the flag in the server. Yeah. So those two parts are there will be open tonight at 10. So I wanted to say that all of you will have time to get home, but I assume that you are home already. So we will have time to get home to open the assignments. And if you have any questions for the assignments, please ask now or in the chat later as usual. I hope that there will be none, as we did a lot of testing today. So
I think
hopefully it will.
I think that the people actually was voting at 10 so they can go to the pub and then go back home in time for the assignment.
That's a nice idea.
Good idea. Okay, so people, thank you very much for staying with us. The recording will be up soon. We are recording this and it's gonna be in the YouTube like always. And you have the feedback there, you have the assignment, get ready, sharpen your tools, go update your servers, and happy hacking, people. See you
One more
next
thing, Sebastian. I want to remind everyone to remove the users that we created for this class, because yeah, I'm sure that if you keep it there, you will get attacked from the internet, and then it will be more for us. So please clean it up. So you will get attacked.
Your audio got very, very bad very quickly. I have no idea why, but Ondra said remove the user, right? Just in case. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know. No. Ondra was having some audio issues. Okay, remove people all or yeah, your disk will be filled. Yeah, enjoy and good luck in the assignment. Bye bye.